Sometimes the smallest acts speak the loudest. Ethan Marshall whispered to himself as he wiped down the polished floors of the grand lobby, the echo of his mop scraping lightly across the marble like a soft metronome marking time. Outside, the early morning sunlight spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long, warm streaks across the high ceilings and gilded railings, painting golden highlights on the white walls that seemed almost to hum with quiet expectation. He glanced toward the elevator where a sleek black van had just rolled to a stop, its engine sighing as it idled. From inside the vehicle, two small figures struggled to shift in their adaptive car seats, their limbs stiff and unresponsive, their faces pressed into the straps that held them safely in place. Their mother, Victoria Hayes, barely glanced their way as she adjusted her designer sunglasses and stepped briskly toward the reception desk, her heels clicking softly against the marble. She didn't notice the way Ethan's gaze lingered on the twins, Olivia and Ava, not because he sought recognition, but because his instincts told him this morning demanded attention, quiet care, and measured hands. Ethan set down the mop bucket, its muted clang against the tile echoing through the empty space, and moved toward the van, kneeling beside the small, frightened faces with a calm steadiness that seemed to slow time itself. He whispered, "It's okay, you're safe now." His voice a gentle current in the morning air, carrying more reassurance than 100 words ever could. His fingers brushed carefully along the straps, adjusting, loosening just enough to ease the tension, letting the twins feel the faint warmth of human touch that had been missing for too long. The lobby lights flickered slightly overhead, humming in rhythm with the soft shuffle of his movements, the scent of polished marble mingling with the faint aroma of leather and baby powder that clung to the van's interior. Victoria turned back momentarily, distracted by her phone buzzing with incoming messages, and in that instant, she caught a glimpse of Ethan's hands supporting Olivia's tiny shoulders as Ava reached out toward his steady, guiding palm. Something in her chest tightened, a subtle awareness stirring beneath the surface of her carefully controlled composure. Ethan spoke again, quietly, almost to himself, but loud enough for the twins to hear. "We'll get you settled, don't worry about a thing." And in that moment, the girls' eyes fluttered, a spark of recognition, a flutter of trust igniting within their paralyzed forms. The world outside seemed to hold its breath as Ethan carefully lifted Ava into his arms, his movements fluid, patient, and unwavering, carrying her with the ease of someone who had learned the rhythm of silence, of attention, of dignity. The morning sun struck the polished lobby floor in warm, shifting patterns, highlighting the subtle smiles forming on the girls' lips, tiny but profound, as their bodies responded in the smallest ways to Ethan's attentive care. Victoria's attention wavered from her phone, her gray eyes catching the scene again, her lips parting slightly as she witnessed a quiet heroism unfolding not in grand gestures or loud proclamations, but in steady hands, patience, and the gentle authority of a man who understood that real strength was measured in compassion, not applause. Ethan adjusted the positioning of Olivia's wheelchair with meticulous care, tapping gently on the control panel to ensure her comfort, and whispered words of reassurance, each syllable a bridge between fear and trust. The soft hum of the lobby's climate control filled the silence between moments, punctuating the scene with an almost cinematic stillness, the kind that made seconds stretch, drawing every detail into sharp relief. The way light fell across Ethan's determined face, the careful attention in his gaze, the delicate response of the twins as they shifted slightly under his guidance. Victoria took an involuntary step forward, just enough to catch the whole scene without being noticed, and her breath caught, a quiet gasp swallowed by the lobby's vast space. She realized, just in that moment, that the smallest, quietest acts carried the weight of miracles, that a man she had never noticed could hold the power to transform not just the morning, but the very essence of these children's day, their world. Ethan, oblivious to her observation, continued with gentle precision, lifting Ava closer to the soft cushion of her car seat, adjusting blankets, and ensuring both girls were secure and comfortable, his movements unhurried yet deliberate, carrying the invisible message of care, patience, and dignity. The sunlight shifted, glinting off the marble and catching the fine threads of Ethan's worn jacket, illuminating him in a way that made the quiet strength of his actions almost palpable, a beacon in the morning calm. He spoke once more, a soft affirmation. They are all set. You're safe. And in that moment, the twins' eyes met his, a glimmer of understanding passing between them, fragile but undeniable, and somewhere in the periphery, Victoria Hayes realized that what she had just witnessed was not a casual act of service, but the quiet unveiling of courage, patience, and grace that demanded recognition, even if the world had been too busy to notice until now. The morning lobby remained bathed in golden light, as Ethan Marshall carefully adjusted the positioning of Olivia and Ava, his hands moving with the ease of someone who had performed these small miracles countless times, though always unseen. The twins, still fragile and hesitant, shifted slightly under his touch, the faintest movement a signal that trust was growing, that a bridge between fear and comfort had been silently constructed. Ethan spoke softly, his voice a low hum that seemed to resonate with the space around them. You are going to be just fine, I promise. And his words, though simple, carried weight far beyond their syllables, anchoring the children in a sense of security they had rarely experienced. The hum of the climate control above blended with the quiet scraping of his shoes on the polished floor as he moved between the van and the lobby seating area, placing soft blankets over their small shoulders, checking straps, and ensuring that every detail, no matter how minor, was attended to. Each motion was deliberate, purposeful, and silent in its dignity. Victoria Hayes, her attention initially consumed by her schedule and phone, began to notice the delicate choreography unfolding before her. She stepped lightly to the side, her gray eyes narrowing slightly as she caught Ethan's quiet efficiency, the way he anticipated every need without a word, how the twins responded to the gentle guidance of his hands. A subtle shift occurred within her chest, a mixture of astonishment and a quiet swelling of admiration for the man she had previously overlooked. Ethan lifted Olivia onto a soft chair, supporting her back carefully, and whispered encouragements that seemed to spark the tiniest responses, a blink, a small squeeze of the fingers, as though the children were testing the boundaries of what they could accomplish. He then turned to Ava, adjusting her head support and smoothing a stray lock of hair from her face, the warmth of his palm the only acknowledgement of his presence, as if he were a shadow who existed solely to serve, to protect, to provide comfort without expectation. Victoria's heart thumped quietly against her ribs as she observed the unspoken communication between Ethan and the twins, the rhythm of care, the quiet patience that carried more meaning than words could convey. She found herself holding her breath as she watched Ava attempt to move her tiny hand toward Ethan's thumb, a motion so slight yet filled with courage, as if the child knew instinctively that help had arrived in the form of steadfast reliability and unshakable calm. The sunlight continued to filter through the glass walls, highlighting the textures of Ethan's worn jacket, the polished floors, and the fragile, intricate details of the twins' adaptive seating, creating a tableau that seemed suspended in time, delicate and potent, imbued with quiet grace. Ethan's movements never faltered. He shifted a blanket, adjusted a footrest, murmured soft affirmations, and all the while maintained a calmness that seemed to absorb the weight of the morning, the tension of the children, and even the unnoticed expectations of Victoria Hayes herself. She stepped a fraction closer, still cautious, yet unable to tear her eyes away, the distance between observation and participation shrinking as she witnessed the full measure of Ethan's quiet strength. Every adjustment, every whispered word, every gentle touch became a testament to the profound power of patience, care, and empathy, a power that required no recognition but created a ripple of effect that could not be ignored. A faint smile appeared on Victoria's lips as she finally allowed herself to acknowledge the full scope of the moment. A single man, acting without fanfare, changing the day, the mood, the sense of security, and perhaps the very spirit of two small children who had so long been confined by circumstance and limitation. The twins' eyes lingered on Ethan, recognition sparking within their small frames, their bodies responding in the tiniest ways that signaled trust, curiosity, and an emerging willingness to interact. Victoria's pulse quickened slightly, not in fear, not in alarm, but in awe and surprise at the depth of this quiet heroism, she had almost missed the careful, deliberate, patient orchestration of comfort and guidance that carried an invisible gravity, drawing attention, respect, and admiration without a single raised voice or demand for acknowledgement. Ethan finally stepped back, hands folded, posture relaxed but still imbued with the unmistakable presence of authority earned through compassion rather than force, and the twins, now slightly more settled, shifted closer together, the soft warmth of the blankets and his attention leaving them comforted, buoyed, and momentarily free from the constraints that had so long defined their movements and voices. The lobby seemed to exhale, the sunlight slanting across the floor as if to illuminate the quiet miracle that had unfolded, and Victoria Hayes, standing a few feet away, realized that what she had seen was not simply care, but a profound demonstration of patience, dignity, and the quiet strength of a man who had dedicated his energy to the uncelebrated but deeply consequential work of tending to the most vulnerable, leaving her with a silent, awe-filled astonishment that would linger long after. The morning had passed. Victoria Hayes stepped closer, her polished shoes making almost no sound on the marble floor, yet each step carried the weight of disbelief and curiosity. She could not look away as Ethan Marshall, with a quiet determination, guided Olivia and Ava toward the plush seating area near the large windows, the morning sun casting soft gold over their small forms. He spoke in calm, measured tones, narrating simple instructions as he arranged cushions, adjusted straps, and made sure the blankets were tucked just right, his voice carrying a rhythm that was soothing and firm at the same time. The twins responded in tiny ways, a blink, a slight squeeze of a finger, a minuscule tilt of a head, but enough to reveal that trust was forming in the space between his hands and their bodies. Victoria's chest tightened as she saw the profound patience in his movements, the way he anticipated every potential discomfort and met it with preemptive care. She glanced around the grand lobby, noticing the sunlight glinting off the chrome fixtures, the faint hum of the air system overhead, the distant echo of her own heels, yet all these details paled against the quiet spectacle unfolding before her. Ethan lifted Ava slightly to reposition her in the adaptive chair, the girl's small frame resting safely against his chest as he whispered encouragement, his words soft but deliberate, each syllable reinforcing calm, each gesture communicating dignity. Olivia, on the other side, reached out with a hesitant hand, and Ethan guided it gently to touch his thumb, a simple contact that seemed monumental in its impact, her tiny fingers flexing with effort, her eyes lighting with curiosity and the beginning of recognition. Victoria's eyes moistened as she observed, realizing that she had underestimated the power of quiet consistency, that heroism did not always roar or demand attention, but often manifested in unseen, tender acts that could shift entire worlds. Ethan adjusted the blanket over Olivia's legs, smoothing the folds with deliberate care, and then leaned down to speak to both twins at once, his voice a soothing cadence in the vast space. "You are safe, and you are cared for," and the words resonated across the marble, carrying a weight that seemed to still the air, drawing Victoria into the gravity of the moment. She instinctively took a step closer, careful not to interrupt, yet unable to resist witnessing fully the attention, skill, and compassion Ethan exhibited with a natural ease, a blend of quiet authority and tender empathy. The twins responded in small gestures, subtle movements that indicated trust and acknowledgement, the morning light catching the glimmer in their eyes, a reflection of hope forming where fear and paralysis had once ruled. Ethan stood and moved back slightly, observing the girls for a moment, ensuring that their positions were comfortable, that their little hands rested safely, that their expressions, fragile but animated, showed signs of engagement with the world around them. Victoria's pulse accelerated as she watched, her gaze following each of his meticulous movements, the way he spoke softly, the care in every touch, the absolute stillness and focus that communicated dedication without a word of boastfulness. She could feel a shift in the air, the lobby's silence now carrying an almost sacred weight, punctuated only by the faint rustle of blankets, the subtle creak of adaptive seats, and the twins' small breaths, synchronized with Ethan's calm presence. For a fleeting moment, time seemed suspended, and Victoria understood fully that the morning's quiet miracle had been orchestrated not through grand gestures, but through relentless attentiveness, patience, and genuine care, and she felt a deep, unspoken respect blooming within her for the man who had, with no audience and no recognition, transformed the experience of two young lives in the simplest yet most profound ways. The sunlight shifted gradually, illuminating the fine details of the twins' features, the folds of their blankets, the smooth marble beneath Ethan's worn shoes, and Victoria, now rooted in silent observation, realized that she was witnessing not just help being given, but the beginning of a bond, a connection formed through grace, dignity, and the quiet strength of a man committed to doing right by those who could not advocate for themselves. A bond that would forever echo in her awareness of the profound effects of kindness enacted without expectation or display. Ethan Marshall paused for a moment, letting his gaze sweep over Olivia and Ava, ensuring that their blankets were tucked securely, their straps adjusted just right, and that the small pillows provided additional support for their fragile heads. The morning sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting delicate patterns on the polished marble, glinting against the metal trim of the adaptive seating, and highlighting the careful precision in Ethan's movements. He adjusted Olivia's position slightly, whispered softly, "You are safe, little one," and a tiny response flickered in her eyes, a minuscule movement that felt monumental in the vast quiet of the lobby. Ava, observing her sister, shifted just enough to trace a finger along Ethan's palm, a subtle act of connection, and Ethan smiled faintly, his calm voice continuing to fill the space. "Yes, you can do this, one small step at a time." Victoria Hayes remained a few steps back, her hands lightly clasped in front of her, her breath shallow with awe, her gray eyes fixed on the delicate interaction unfolding before her. Every tiny adjustment Ethan made was deliberate. The gentle tilting of the seat back, the smoothing of blankets, the subtle repositioning of limbs to maximize comfort and reduce strain, all executed without fanfare or noise, each movement a testament to patience and skill honed through years of careful attention. The twins responded in small increments, the faintest twitches of fingers, slight turns of the head, subtle eye contact. Yet each response carried a weight of hope, an affirmation of trust slowly being built. Ethan then turned his attention to preparing a small tray with sippy cups filled with warm water and a soft cloth for wiping little hands and faces, all the while speaking in a low, rhythmic tone that seemed to harmonize with the distant hum of the lobby. "Here you go. You can have a little sip when you like." He guided the twins' hands to the cups, encouraging their participation, celebrating every minor success with gentle praise, never overwhelming them, always allowing space for them to explore and respond at their own pace. Victoria's chest rose and fell with a mixture of emotion, a quiet tension that eased only as she recognized the depth of Ethan's skill and care, the way he anticipated needs before they were voiced, the manner in which he created comfort without drawing attention to himself. She stepped closer, careful not to intrude, and observed the precise choreography of his hands and words, each movement and phrase seemingly designed to communicate reassurance, safety, and dignity. The twins began to make softer sounds, small coos and whispers that hinted at communication, gestures that indicated trust was forming and recognition growing. Ethan responded with smiles and soft nods, his eyes crinkling with quiet satisfaction, acknowledging each effort without words, reinforcing a bond that was steadily deepening. The ambient sounds of the lobby, the gentle hum of air circulation, distant footsteps of early visitors, the occasional click of heels, served as a backdrop to the delicate tableau, emphasizing the contrast between the ordinary world around them and the extraordinary patience and care displayed in these moments. Ethan guided the twins through subtle exercises, small stretches, and gentle encouragement to move their hands and heads in ways that fostered growth and confidence, narrating each motion in soft, deliberate language that invited participation without pressure. Victoria could not look away. Her heart ached with quiet admiration as she realized that she had underestimated the power of understated, consistent, and compassionate action. Ethan's presence, steady and unassuming, transformed the atmosphere of the space, creating a haven where the twins could respond, explore, and connect in ways they had rarely experienced. Each gesture, each word, each careful adjustment of the children's seating and blankets conveyed a profound sense of grace, patience, and commitment. The sunlight shifted, illuminating the twins' tiny hands and Ethan's guiding fingers, a visual testament to trust forming between caregiver and child, a quiet miracle unfolding in real time. Victoria Hayes, now fully attentive, allowed herself to recognize the impact of what she was witnessing, her gaze fixed on Ethan's hands, his calm voice, and the small, meaningful movements of the children. The morning seemed to hold still around them, the lobby bathed in golden light, echoing with the subtle sounds of progress, patience, and care, and Victoria realized with a quiet reverence that she had been a witness to not only the nurturing of two young lives, but also the revelation of a man whose quiet strength and unwavering compassion left an indelible mark on everyone fortunate enough to observe it. The soft morning light continued to filter through the expansive windows of the lobby, casting a warm glow on the polished marble and illuminating Ethan Marshall as he gently guided Olivia and Ava through a series of small movements designed to stretch and awaken their limited mobility. He spoke in calm, deliberate tones, narrating each adjustment with care. Reach a little higher. Olivia, you can do it. And Ava, see, your hand can touch mine. His voice low but steady, carrying an authority that was not commanding but nurturing, a quiet confidence that invited trust rather than demanded it. The twins responded with tiny motions, small flexes of fingers, slight turns of heads, the faintest sounds escaping their lips, almost imperceptible but monumental in their significance, and Ethan acknowledged each effort with a gentle nod or soft smile, reinforcing their courage without words. Victoria Hayes watched from a short distance, her gray eyes reflecting a mixture of astonishment and growing admiration, the realization dawning that the man she had overlooked for so long possessed a depth of patience, skill, and compassion that was quietly transformative. She noticed the subtle ways he positioned their wheelchairs to maximize comfort, the meticulous attention to the blankets, the careful alignment of cushions, and the rhythm in his speech that seemed to harmonize perfectly with the stillness of the morning. Ethan adjusted Olivia's blanket over her tiny shoulders, smoothing the folds with careful hands, and whispered softly, "There you go. Comfortable now." And Olivia responded with a tentative blink and the smallest curl of her fingers toward him. Ava mirrored the gesture, reaching toward Ethan's hand, and he guided her with tender patience, allowing her to feel the touch without imposing force, celebrating each micro-movement as a victory. The sound of the lobby, the faint hum of the air system, distant footsteps, the soft shuffle of shoes on marble, seemed to recede, leaving only the space between Ethan, the twins, and the quiet gravity of the moment. Victoria's breath caught as she observed, noting how the smallest adjustments, a tilt of a head, a repositioning of a hand, a whispered word of encouragement, could carry so much weight, creating an atmosphere of calm, trust, and burgeoning confidence. Ethan then prepared a small tray with sippy cups filled with warm water and a soft cloth for wiping the twins' hands and faces, carefully guiding each child's movement to allow them to interact with the items at their own pace, celebrating the tiniest successes with verbal praise and gentle gestures. The twins' eyes flickered with recognition, their lips parted slightly as soft sounds emerged, small coos that signaled their engagement with the world around them, and Ethan responded with encouraging words, his voice a low melody that threaded patience and hope through every syllable. Victoria stepped forward slightly, drawn closer by the magnetic quiet of his actions, yet careful to maintain a respectful distance, witnessing fully the steady precision of his movements and the soft, effective cadence of his voice. Each detail, from the careful placement of the blankets to the way Ethan maintained eye contact with the twins, conveyed a level of care that transcended simple action, a profound empathy that seemed to shape the very air of the lobby, drawing in Victoria's attention, compelling her admiration. The sunlight shifted subtly, reflecting off the marble and tracing the lines of Ethan's focused expression, highlighting the steady hands, the gentle eyes, the patient guidance that had turned the morning into a quiet choreography of nurturing and reassurance. The twins responded in increasingly confident small gestures, Olivia reaching further, Ava curling her fingers more deliberately, each movement celebrated by Ethan with soft murmurs of approval, creating a feedback loop of trust, attention, and gradual empowerment. Victoria Hayes could not tear her gaze away, feeling the full weight of what she was witnessing, understanding that the quiet heroism on display required no audience, no applause, yet held a transformative power that was immediate, profound, and undeniable. Ethan stepped back slightly, observing the twins with a satisfied, calm expression, his movements precise yet unassuming. The lobby now a sanctuary of subtle triumphs, patience, and gentle strength, a space where dignity and care converged to nurture trust and spark the first flickers of possibility in the lives of Olivia and Ava. While Victoria absorbed the scene with a growing reverence for the quiet man who had reshaped the morning with nothing more than patience, consistency, and a steadfast heart. The soft morning light continued to fill the lobby as Ethan Marshall carefully lifted Olivia and Ava, positioning them near the large window where the sun cast a warm, golden glow over their small, delicate forms. He spoke in calm, deliberate tones, guiding them gently through movements designed to stretch their tiny arms and legs, whispering encouragements that seemed to float through the quiet space. Reach up, Olivia, you can touch the light. And, Ava, your fingers can feel mine, see how strong you are. Each subtle response from the twins, a blink, a slight curl of a hand, a shift of the head, was met with a soft nod or a faint smile, reinforcing their courage without overwhelming them, their trust building incrementally under Ethan's attentive care. Victoria Hayes, still observing from a few steps away, felt a tightening in her chest as she witnessed the quiet authority of his presence, the patient, unwavering focus that seemed to radiate reassurance through every motion and word. Ethan adjusted Olivia's blanket and the angle of her seating, smoothing the fabric with deliberate care, then leaned close to Ava, softly encouraging her to lift her head slightly, and when she responded with the smallest, tentative movement, he celebrated it with a gentle affirmation. Exactly, that is perfect. The lobby, bathed in sunlight, seemed to hold its breath, the faint hum of the ventilation and distant footsteps of early visitors fading into the background, leaving the space suspended in quiet attention and concentrated care. Ethan prepared a small tray with water cups and soft cloths, guiding the twins' hands toward the items at their own pace, narrating each action with patience. And Victoria watched, mesmerized, as the children responded with tentative gestures, the beginnings of independent movement that had been impossible before this moment. She stepped a fraction closer, careful not to intrude, feeling an unexpected wave of admiration and awe for Ethan's subtle yet profound impact. The way he communicated dignity and encouragement through touch, voice, and the rhythm of his attention. The twins began to make soft cooing sounds, their lips parting in small, hopeful attempts at communication, and Ethan acknowledged each sound with a warm, steady tone, guiding them gently, reinforcing their effort and fostering confidence. The sunlight shifted slightly, highlighting the careful details of Ethan's movements, the soft expressions on the twins' faces, and the subtle changes in their posture, each moment a testament to the transformative power of quiet, consistent care. Victoria Hayes could feel the weight of the scene, a mixture of astonishment and reverence, as she realized the profound influence of Ethan's steady, compassionate presence, a man acting with complete humility yet immense effect. He continued to guide them through gentle stretches and movements, narrating each step with clarity and warmth, always maintaining eye contact, always reinforcing trust, allowing the twins to discover small achievements in their own time. The twins' tiny fingers brushed against Ethan's hands, their small motions signaling growing confidence and awareness, a connection forming that was subtle yet undeniable. Victoria observed, noting the harmony between movement, speech, and attention, the meticulous precision that conveyed care and skill beyond simple observation. Each small gesture from Ethan, each whispered word, each adjustment of position or blanket, became a vivid demonstration of patience, grace, and quiet strength, leaving Victoria silent with admiration, fully aware that she was witnessing a moment that would linger in her memory. The morning light shifted once more, illuminating the soft curves of the twins' faces, the warmth of their blankets, and the focused, deliberate movements of Ethan, casting the scene in a cinematic glow that underscored the quiet miracle unfolding. Olivia and Ava responded with slightly more deliberate movements, their tiny arms lifting higher, their heads turning with more purpose, guided and reinforced by Ethan's unwavering attention, and Victoria Hayes, taking in every detail, understood that she had observed not only acts of care, but the emergence of trust, connection, and hope. A silent testament to the extraordinary impact of quiet heroism performed without expectation of recognition, a demonstration of grace and patience that transformed the morning into a sanctuary of dignity, reassurance, and burgeoning possibility for the two young lives in front of her. Victoria Hayes could not move from where she stood, her gray eyes fixed on Ethan Marshall as he continued his quiet, meticulous care for Olivia and Ava. The twins were now responding with slightly more coordinated movements, their small hands stretching toward his guiding fingers, their heads turning with more intention as they explored the range of motion Ethan patiently encouraged. Each small success was met with a soft, affirming word. Yes, just like that, perfect, and a gentle nod, reinforcing their efforts without pressure, letting them feel a sense of accomplishment that had rarely existed before. The sunlight shifted across the lobby, painting warm highlights on the polished marble, reflecting off Ethan's worn jacket and casting a soft glow on the twins' faces, their expressions a mixture of concentration, curiosity, and newfound trust. Ethan guided them through a sequence of simple motions, small arm lifts and subtle shifts in posture, narrating each action in his calm, deliberate voice, ensuring that every tiny movement was acknowledged and celebrated. The quiet hum of the ventilation system blended with the gentle scrape of his shoes across the floor, creating a rhythm that seemed to harmonize with the soft murmurs of the twins as they responded, a soundtrack of patience, trust, and careful guidance. Victoria stepped forward, careful not to intrude, yet unable to resist drawing closer as the scene unfolded, her chest tightening with a mixture of awe and growing admiration for the man who had been invisible to her for so long, yet was now performing such profoundly transformative care. Ethan adjusted Olivia's blanket and repositioned her small body to maximize comfort and support, then turned to Ava with a similar attentiveness, guiding her fingers to touch his palm and whispering gentle encouragements, each word a bridge between uncertainty and confidence. The twins' faint responses, small coos, tentative gestures, tiny shifts, were like sparks of light in the quiet morning, signaling trust and connection being formed under Ethan's unwavering attention. Victoria could feel her heartbeat quicken as she observed the delicate choreography, the careful balance of touch, speech, and encouragement that allowed the twins to explore and respond in their own time, each success quietly monumental. Ethan prepared a small tray with warm water and soft cloths for cleaning their tiny hands and faces, guiding their motions without rush or expectation, turning a simple act into a meaningful interaction that fostered independence and confidence. Olivia reached toward the cup with a slightly steadier hand, Ava following with her own small movement, and Ethan's soft affirmation, "Excellent, that is perfect," reinforced the connection, the rhythm of progress, and the trust between them. The morning light shifted again, tracing golden highlights across the scene, emphasizing the subtle grace in Ethan's movements, the delicate engagement of the twins, and the quiet revelation for Victoria of the extraordinary power of patient, compassionate attention. She realized that heroism did not always require recognition or spectacle. It could exist in these quiet moments of attentive care, transforming lives without fanfare or display. Ethan guided the twins through another set of gentle motions, narrating each step clearly, maintaining eye contact, offering praise and reassurance, and allowing them to experience small victories that were monumental in their context. Victoria's chest swelled with unspoken admiration as she observed the consistency, focus, and deliberate grace in his actions, understanding that the morning had been reshaped not by dramatic events, but by quiet, intentional presence. Each gesture, each whispered word, Each subtle adjustment of blankets, seating, and posture spoke of patience, dignity, and unwavering attention, creating an atmosphere of trust and encouragement that enveloped the twins. The sunlight fell across the twins' faces and Ethan's hands, illuminating their growing awareness and engagement. The lobby transformed into a sanctuary of quiet strength and care, and Victoria, unable to look away, absorbed the scene fully, recognizing that she was witnessing an ordinary man performing extraordinary acts of kindness, patience, and grace that would leave an indelible mark on the lives of Olivia and Ava. The golden morning light continued to stretch across the marble floors of the lobby as Ethan Marshall knelt beside Olivia and Ava, observing their subtle reactions with a calm, watchful eye. Each tiny movement they made, a delicate flex of a finger or a gentle turn of the head, was met with soft encouragement and precise guidance, his voice low and steady. "That is excellent. Olivia, just like that. And, Ava, your hand is reaching perfectly. See how strong you are." The twins' small responses, almost imperceptible to anyone else, were monumental in this space, each one building trust and confidence under Ethan's patient care. Victoria Hayes, standing nearby, could no longer maintain the distance. Her breath caught repeatedly as she watched the quiet choreography unfold, realizing that every detail, every deliberate motion, and every gentle word carried weight far beyond what she had imagined. Ethan adjusted Olivia's position slightly, ensuring that her back was supported and her legs rested comfortably, then turned to Ava, softly guiding her hand toward a small cloth to wipe a damp spot on her blanket, narrating each step in a gentle cadence that combined instruction with reassurance. The lobby itself seemed to respond, the sunlight glinting off the metal accents and polished floors, casting a warm, almost sacred glow over the scene, emphasizing the patience, dignity, and grace that Ethan brought to each gesture. Victoria felt her heart swell with admiration and a growing awe as she observed the twins' tiny hands stretching, their heads turning toward Ethan, their eyes brightening with tentative recognition and curiosity. He whispered softly, "Yes, that is perfect. See how capable you are," his tone steady and calm, radiating confidence and encouragement without ever raising his voice, allowing the twins to feel the power of accomplishment in their own time. Each micro-success, each faint coo or blink, seemed amplified in the quiet of the lobby, drawing Victoria's attention completely to the unfolding care and connection. Ethan carefully adjusted the blankets over both girls, smoothing the folds and repositioning pillows to maximize comfort, his movements deliberate, meticulous, and full of purpose, reinforcing the invisible safety net he had built around them. The twins responded with increasingly confident gestures, small shifts, and gentle reaches that reflected the trust and security growing between them and Ethan, each subtle action celebrated with quiet affirmation, a soft nod, or a whispered word of praise. Victoria moved closer, careful not to interrupt, but drawn entirely into the gravity of what she was witnessing, the depth of skill, patience, and empathy displayed by a man who had been invisible to her world until this precise moment. The morning light continued to shift, highlighting the careful alignment of the twins in their adaptive seating, the folds of their blankets, the softness of their expressions, and the steady, deliberate care in Ethan's posture and gaze. He guided the girls through gentle movements, narrating each step with clarity, reinforcing their confidence while allowing them to progress at their own pace, a delicate balance of instruction, encouragement, and reassurance that created an almost sacred rhythm in the space. The twins' tiny hands reached out more purposefully now, their heads following with intent, responding to Ethan's attentive presence with trust and subtle enthusiasm. And Victoria realized fully that this quiet, patient, and consistent care was a form of heroism in itself. Ethan's every movement, word, and glance conveyed a profound sense of dedication, empathy, and quiet strength, shaping not only the morning but the emerging connection between himself and the twins, a bond built on trust, patience, and the unwavering assurance that they were seen, supported, and cared for. The sunlight fell across their faces, highlighting the progress and small victories of the morning, and Victoria, standing silently, absorbed the scene with deep respect and a growing sense of wonder, fully aware that she had witnessed the subtle unfolding of a quiet miracle, the power of empathy, patience, and dignity performed without expectation or recognition, a demonstration of true grace and the transformative impact of consistent, compassionate attention on two young lives. The morning had grown warmer as sunlight poured through the windows, bathing the lobby in a soft, golden glow that highlighted every detail of Ethan Marshall's careful, patient actions. He had guided Olivia and Ava through gentle stretches, subtle movements, and tentative explorations, and now he stood back, observing them with quiet pride, their tiny hands resting on the soft blankets, their eyes glimmering with recognition and trust. Victoria Hayes, who had watched the entire scene unfold, felt a profound shift within herself. Admiration, gratitude, and awe intermingled as she realized the depth of Ethan's quiet heroism. She stepped closer, finally speaking in a soft voice. "Ethan, I did not realize the care and patience it takes to nurture such small victories." Ethan merely smiled, his hands folded calmly, eyes steady, exuding a quiet dignity that needed no acknowledgement. The twins, sensing the calm strength surrounding them, shifted slightly, Olivia reaching toward Ethan's hand with a small, deliberate movement, Ava mirroring her, both of them showing the first tangible signs of progress that morning. The lobby, once a backdrop of polished marble and filtered sunlight, had become a stage for patience, grace, and quiet courage, where each gesture and word held significance far beyond its simplicity. Ethan guided the twins to a comfortable position near the sunlit windows, adjusting blankets and pillows one last time, speaking softly. "There, all set. You are safe and strong." The subtle confidence that now radiated from Olivia and Ava reflected the nurturing care they had received, a testament to the power of consistent attention and unwavering compassion. Victoria watched, breath held, the weight of realization settling in that heroism does not always announce itself with spectacle or fanfare. It can exist quietly in patience, in touch, in gentle guidance, and in unwavering dedication. She approached Ethan, her footsteps careful and measured, and said simply, "Thank you. You have changed more than just this morning." Ethan inclined his head slightly, acknowledging her words with humility, and gestured toward the twins with a soft, quiet motion, letting the impact of the morning speak for itself. The golden light continued to bathe the lobby, accentuating the subtle triumphs of the small, fragile figures and the steady presence of the man who had guided them through moments of trust and discovery. Victoria, moved by what she had witnessed, asked aloud with a tone that carried wonder and curiosity, "How can one person's quiet patience transform so much in so little time?" Ethan remained silent, a small, knowing smile playing at the corners of his mouth, embodying the principle that true strength often manifests without recognition, and that dignity and care can leave a lasting imprint even without applause. As he collected the small blankets and tidied the area, the twins watched with attentive eyes, their movements more deliberate, their trust palpable, and Victoria understood that this was more than assistance. It was the fostering of courage, the building of confidence, and the quiet affirmation of life's potential, all nurtured by the steady, patient presence of a man who acted with grace. The lobby's atmosphere had shifted, the soft hum of the ventilation, the distant echo of footsteps, and the golden sunlight created a space where patience, trust, and quiet heroism were tangible, leaving a profound impression on everyone present. Victoria took a step back, her gaze lingering on Ethan and the twins, a mixture of reverence and reflection on the transformative power of empathy and steadfast care. As the morning moved toward midday, the warmth in the lobby mirrored the warmth that now seemed to reside in the hearts of Olivia, Ava, and Victoria, a subtle reminder that moments of kindness and unwavering attention can ripple far beyond their immediate impact. She whispered softly to herself, "Perhaps the greatest miracles are the quietest ones." And in that moment, the story of Ethan Marshall's patient dedication, of his steadfast care for two fragile lives, and of the profound effect of quiet heroism hung in the air, a testament to dignity, grace, and the power of human compassion. If you believe in the quiet strength of kindness and the power of second chances, do not forget to subscribe, and witness more stories that touch the heart and inspire the soul.